Should we even have immigration? Every few years, that question returns, louder, angrier, and just as confused. Because if you look closely, the loudest countries demanding to close borders were built by people who crossed them. The United States, built by immigrants. Canada, sustained by them. Even empires like the Roman, British, and Ottoman were just organized immigration projects backed by armies. So the question isn't, should we have immigration? It's, can any nation survive without it?
3 real reasons why immigration exists.
When you cut through the politics, immigration happens for one of 3 reasons: humanitarian, talent, and economic.
Humanitarian, when compassion meets strategy.
Sometimes people aren't chasing opportunity, they're running from destruction. Jewish families fled Nazi Germany, Ukrainian civilians fled Russian missiles, Ugandan Indians were expelled by Idi Amin, and every time the world opened its doors, not just out of compassion, but because being humane is good politics. It buys credibility, moral authority, and influence on the global stage. Sweden did this to cement its leadership in the refugee policy. The US used it to strengthen alliances. Being humane just isn't weakness, it's soft power.
Talent, the real superpower behind innovation.
People often say America's strength is its military. It's actually not. It's the ability to import ambition. Right after World War II, the US launched Project Paperclip, quietly relocating over 1,500 German scientists and engineers, including those from the Nazi regime. They built the rockets that became NASA, the missiles that defined the Cold War, and the technology that fueled a century of innovation. Then came the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. It scrapped race-based quotas and replaced them with a skill-based system, allowing professionals from Asia and the Middle East to migrate based on just merit. That one decision changed the genetic code of American innovation. And by the 1990s, the H-1B visa became the next stage of that story, formalizing skilled immigration just as the internet boom took off. Later laws like the American Competitiveness Act of 1998 and 2000 raised caps and gave job mobility to tech workers, fueling the rise of Silicon Valley. And when these workers wanted to stay for good, the employment-based green card system, EB1, EB2, gave them that path. That's why, from Werner von Braun to Elon Musk, from Sergey Brin to Sundar Pichai, every era of American progress was powered by people who started somewhere else. Talent migration is how countries import progress.
Economic, the quiet backbone of prosperity.
Finally, the part nobody says out loud. Immigration is all about economic survival. Western populations are aging, birth rates are falling, and someone still has to build the homes, run the hospitals, drive the trucks, and pay the taxes that keep everything moving. Immigrants do that, not because they're cheaper, but because they're hungrier. They're the energy source that aging societies quietly rely on.
The other side.
But immigration has a cost. Brain drain slows the countries people leave. Visa restrictions trap skilled workers abroad, unable to start companies or take risks. And identity becomes a lifelong balancing act. You're either too Indian for America or too American for India. Yet these struggles don't cancel the system. They prove how essential it is. Because no country voluntarily gives up something that keeps its economy alive.
The myth of integration.
Immigrants don't integrate. That's the line, right? But think about it. If you blend in completely, they say you've lost your roots. If you hold on to your roots, they say you don't belong. Majority culture always absorbs or overrides minority culture until the next majority arrives.
The cultural double standard.
Every group of immigrants brings its own culture. The French brought theirs to Quebec and protected it fiercely. The Irish brought their faith and its politics. The Italians brought family, food, and a neighborhood identity that became the American way. Over time, their differences became America's diversity, but not without struggle. Did you know the Irish were once called apes? Italians were accused of being criminals, hence all the mafia movies. Jews were blamed for economic collapse, and Chinese immigrants were banned by law. Every wave faced discrimination until the next one arrived. What was once foreign eventually becomes familiar. That's the cycle. And today, Indian immigrants are living through that same phase. Their accents, food, and traditions are mocked now, but yoga, Bollywood, and Diwali are already creeping into mainstream culture. History shows the same pattern. First they reject you, then they replicate you, and then they respect you. Cultures don't just vanish, they negotiate space. And the ones that last are not the ones that conform fastest, but the ones that stay confident long enough for the world to adapt around them.
The real cause.
Decline, not diversity. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Population decline and cultural erosion are the real issues, not immigration. If a society stops growing, its culture begins to decay. When people trade purpose for convenience and identify for consumption, they hollow out their own traditions. You don't need immigrants to change that. Consumerism already did. If your sense of belonging comes from whether you drive a BMW or a Mercedes, use Apple or Android, support oil or green energy, you've already replaced culture with branding. It's not fair to blame immigrants for changing society when societies are already fragmenting from within. Immigrants just arrive at a time when the cracks are showing.
The oldest myth.
Jobs and quality of life. Immigrants are stealing jobs. That's the oldest narrative in the book. But here's the truth. It's not an immigration problem. It's a market design problem. Companies hire whoever delivers more for less, whether it's immigrants, the local population, or machines. That's not ideology. That's just plain economics. Blaming immigrants for taking jobs is like blaming rain for getting wet. If it weren't for them, it'd be AI. And when AI gets cheaper, it will replace both. Immigrants didn't design the system. Modern society did. They're simply surviving inside it.
The real debate.
So when people ask, should we have immigration? They're asking the wrong question. It's not moral, it's mathematical. Without immigrants, populations shrink, economies slow, innovation dies. Immigration isn't a problem to fix. It's the bloodstream of civilization. It's how ambition moves from where it's born to where it's valued. Maybe that's why every great nation, from Rome to America, was built by not those who stayed, but by those who moved. So the question is, should we have immigration? If you drink your morning coffee at a cafe, work in tech, depend on your pension for retirement, or use services built by global innovation, the answer is already in front of you.